How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Tombstone's Takes. I am Tombstone, and I love to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and interesting about books. Today, we might have a spoiler-filled discussion / review about a great crime novel. It won the Edgar Award. If those of you who don't know, that's the award that comes from the Mystery Writers Association of America. This book is called Black Cherry Blues by James Lee Burke, and it is one of the Dave Robicheaux novels. I absolutely adored this book. Let's get into it. You might think that if you pick up Black Cherry Blues that you're going to get a great crime novel, one of those hard-boiled, criminal-laden books where the anti-hero pummels evil in questionable ways and gets laid entirely too much. And if you do think that, well, then you'd be right. But you'd also be wrong. So why would you be wrong? Well, Black Cherry Blues is the third in the Dave Robicheaux novel, and of the Dave Robicheaux novels, Neon Rain was the first one, Heaven's Prisoner was the second one, Black Cherry Blues is the third one. Now, why am I reviewing this one? Why am I bringing up all of this about the book? Well, because at its heart, Black Cherry Blues is a ghost story. Yes, Black Cherry Blues is a ghost story. It's about Dave Robicheaux. Surprise, I just said that it was in the series. And he's the aforementioned anti-hero, and he's reeling from the death of his wife that happens in the previous novel, Heaven's Prisoner. Spoilers if you didn't know. But he's reeling from the death of his wife. He's feeling guilt for how he brought her into the life of a cop who deals with the criminal underworld. And so when an old friend, it was this guy, his name is Dixie Lee Pugh. He's not only an old friend, but he's an ex-musician and singer and semi-famous musician, and he's a lush. He brings that criminal underworld to Dave Robicheaux again. Well, Dave Robicheaux does what he does. He hits back. He pummels some of that criminal world into submission. But unfortunately, after one of the people that he pummels dies, the local law enforcement thinks that he pummeled a little bit too hard and killed a man. And so what follows is the story of Dave, who's trying to clear his name, and he continually makes bad choices. But that's Dave Robichaux's MO. Those of you who've read one of his books, they know that, that's his modus operandi. He just does dumb things, and he does even more in this book. So this book is a fantastic read. James Lee Burke is like the poet laureate of crime. His prose is so smooth. Some people will say it's purple. I don't happen to think so, but we can argue what purple prose is and isn't on another day, but it's just beautiful prose. He's one of the best prose stylists in crime, and this book isn't any exception to that. So with that, one of the things that James Lee Burke does so well is he can describe a setting. He sets the setting, and he uses that as a character in every one of his books. It's why Dave Robicheaux works in New Orleans and Louisiana so much. In this book, he heads up to Montana and is in a totally different setting. And then he'll also engage you with snappy dialogue. Now, Elmore Leonard often gets so much praise for his dialects and the snappy dialogue, but James Lee Burke is just as good at it as Elmore Leonard is. He's got interesting characters. And this storyline, it's intense. This ghost story is where this book excels, not only over other books in this series, but in particular in crime novels. Dave's guilt in exploring his grief and loss in this manner does elevate this novel above other crime novels. It becomes something more than, oh, this bad guy shot this other bad guy, or this bad guy did this other bad thing. Ergo, let's have a hero come in and save the day and do something good, and everything's going to be okay in life after that. No, it gives us a way for people to search for meaning. And that's the great thing about storytelling in general, is that storytelling, if done right, can help us access moods, emotions, ideas, thoughts that we might not have otherwise had. And in this case, we can see Dave going through that with his guilt of his ex-wife's death. Not ex-wife, but of his wife's death. He did have another ex-wife. Dave goes through women. Anyway, one of his wives died, and yeah. So this book unsubtly reminds you why Dave's haunted. And one of the things that's interesting is how James Lee Burke uses ghosts in this particular book, because we do see the ghosts. We actually do see him feeling like he has visions of a ghost of his ex-wife, dreams, visions, apparitions. In what way James Lee Burke doesn't shy away from showing us hints of the supernatural in this book. If you read most ghost stories, the ghosts serve a function. Is this ghost bearing a message to somebody else? Oh, go here and find X, and inside the thing that they find might be a will or money or whatnot. That's just one aspect where ghosts are. In horror stories, sometimes the ghosts are the antagonist. They have a malicious intent. M.R. James said that the ghosts need to have that malicious intent. Otherwise, it's not going to be a good ghost story. In this, we see James Lee Burke connect his ghosts to not only the grief and loss of his wife, but we do see some different kinds of visions and apparitions that have kind of an influence from Native cultures. There are some Native American characters in this particular book, and we see some correlations and some parallels between Native American literature and how there's a lot of visions and apparitions that might appear in Native American literature. And we see some parallels, though, that helps us to see how Dave will bring or mete out justice in the end. I don't want to get too much into it, but these things are interesting and they make for a good tale. I happen to love this book. I give most books that I think are the most excellent books four tombstones, and I'm about to give this one 4 tombstones. I'm going to take away from it a little bit because the way he sets up most scenes are exactly the same, and I'm like, oh, he uses this particular writing style, he writes a lot of the scenes the same way. He introduces them the same, he starts them out, and they go through the same kind of beats over and over again. So I'm going to take a tombstone off for that. But either way, I love this book. I hope that you'll pick it up and enjoy it. If you haven't read Neon Rain or Heaven's Prisoners, do so. This is one of the great American crime novelists of this generation. That said, this has been Tombstone's Takes. I hope you enjoy what I'm doing here. Give me a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.